Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Annetta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm about to go into what we're shipping out today on Monday. It was a busy weekend and it's gonna be a super busy week. This was finally like a nice turnaround for us for eBay. Our beginning of our October is great, but knock on wood, I don't want to like jinx it. All right, I'm just gonna go right into it because we have a lot to do today. All right, the first thing is Okami Mio Nendoroid right here. This is like a cat figure one. This is Nendoroids are kind of like the pop figures, but these are from Japan. And then these things, they're like higher quality. They'll have a bunch of different pieces you can exchange. This is a sealed one. This sold for $59.99 plus shipping, which is really good because that was my asking price. I got a bunch of those. We have a video down below of when I got a bunch of the Nendoroids and other anime stuff. All right, next up is Heroes Season, let's see, 4, 5-disc set right here. This ended up selling for $8. I don't know, I just pick up random seasons once in a while because I know people will watch these on like different Netflixes and Hulus, but kind of when they have lifespans, right? So they'll take them off and then people still want to watch it. All right, next up, and I got a bunch of those cheap, is a little miniature thing. These are little, let's see what these are. Crates set number 1. Let's see what scale these are. 28 millimeter scale. Yeah, these are cool little miniature bits and pieces. I get a bunch of these all the time. These are good for wargaming terrain and scenery. They're going to put them down on the battlefield and stuff like that. So people pick this up and I get them pretty cheap in bulk. $9.60 for that. All right, next up is a military book right here. Frederick the Great's Army 3 Specialist Troops book. You've seen, if you've been watching the channel, we got a bunch of these military books, miniature game books, cheap right there. This is like a trade paperback quality. This ended up selling for $12. This is awesome. All right, next up is a really cool movie. It has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it right here, Red Sonja right there. It's gonna be like a Red Barbarian type of movie. I just thought this was weird, so I picked it up. It says a woman and a warrior that become a legend. That's great. This sold for $11.20. So my gut reaction of picking up this DVD was good. You can kind of find a lot of DVDs out in the wild. I don't actually scan them. I just kind of grab stuff. You can do well scanning them, but I just kind of grab the stuff that I think will do well at this point, or at least stuff that we've sold. All right, next up is a combo order. And then hopefully I can find this quickly, which I might not be. Oh, yes, I can. All right, so these are 2 promo cards right here. I'm going to show them up close. These are Warhammer Disc Wars Summoner 2014. There's an Intimidate promo card. And then there's going to be a Rally promo card. So this is the Intimidate right here. Hopefully you can see this right there. That's this one. Both of these. Geez, I'm spitting. Both of these sold for $17.59 right there. Sorry, it's been like a long week, but I have a lot of energy right now, so it feels good. All right, $17.59. This is going to be eBay standard envelope, I believe. Actually, I'm going to double check that later on. All right, next up is a combo order. It's going to be Krik's Army book with the Krik's stat cards right there. Faction deck is what they're called. So here's the faction deck right there. This is going to have all the different like stats for all of the figures in this, but it's going to be from that year. So this is 2016. Usually doesn't matter. Sometimes there's like updates and stuff and then they'll get new cards, but generally it's cool to keep track of the health of your warjacks, which are the bigger machines in the game. They usually put these in like different sleeves and use dry erase markers to keep track of like what parts and bits and pieces of the miniatures are damaged. And then they also got obviously the, well, not obviously to you guys, but makes sense to me. They got the Krik's Army book. This is going to have all the rules, all the different miniatures up to this edition or whatever it is. I'm not too sure what edition this is. I just can't tell from a glance. But yeah, this ended up selling for $10. So that's $23.82 plus shipping for both of them, which is pretty cool. I actually got a War Machine 2 collections recently. I just don't have time to list them anytime soon, but it's going to be really exciting for my repeat buyers for the War Machine stuff. I think I'll be able to sell a bunch of it. All right, next up is Joseph Studio Infant of Prague figurine. This is like a religious figurine. Annetta usually grabs these. She knows a lot of the stuff that people out there grab right here. Let's keep it over here. It's gonna be hard to see if I bring it up close. This is 6 inches. It's like ceramic. It's like a nice quality. We usually find these at like estate sales on like desks and drawers and stuff like that. This one sold for $18. I usually just let Annetta go ham and pick whatever one she thinks will do well. I just don't like delicate stuff like this because it can break once in a while, but it's been a while since we've had anything like that broken. So $18 is pretty cool from like a estate sale. Those are usually pretty cheap at the estate sales. All right, next up is a cool X-Files book. Kind of interesting because we picked up an X-Files board game with the VHS tape in our video down below, our haul with a bunch of adventure books, there was the X-Files game. I just kind of pick up X-Files stuff, even if it's not super expensive, because I do know people love the series. All right, sorry, I'm looking all over for it. Yep, right here, this is just a paperback book. Someone's going to enjoy and read this. This only sold for $6, but it's cool. I didn't have to lot it up, and it's still sold. All right, moving along, we got some Ray-Ban sunglasses black case right here. This was given to us for free by Netta's mom. She had a bunch of stuff that someone was throwing away, and she asked us if we wanted it. We went through it. This one sold for $7.99. It's still pretty good. It's legit. There you go. I don't know too much about sunglasses. I've heard that brand before, but I personally don't know that much about them. All right, moving up next is Full Genius Death Ray board game sealed. This one's a new one. I haven't really seen this before, so I picked it up. I ran into a bunch of like unique board games for cheap that I hadn't seen before, so I just gambled on them, basically. This is by Vile Genius Games. So the reason why I grabbed this one, even though it's bigger, because I try to be careful with the big stuff now that our storage is like running low, is it had a promo card, promo pack. Board gamers usually pay up extra for all the promos. They want the board game complete. They want all the expansions. And then it's debatable whether these expansions or promos add a bunch to a game. It really depends on the game. I think they usually add a lot to a game, but like I said, it depends on each individual game, what the actual expansion is. Sometimes it changes the rules for better or for worse. All right, but that sold for $20, which is pretty cool. That one wasn't even on offer. It was just like my asking price. All right, next up is something cool because I usually sell a bunch of these. Let me see if I can show you up here. It's going to be 4D6. This is literally how I got it in this cute little baggie. So I just kept it as such right there. People love old school dice. This looks like a cool little listing, 2 of each. This sold for $5.99 plus shipping. So it's not like the craziest sale, but I get a bunch of dice and then I just pile them up to like next to you in my listing station. Eventually I'll make it like a lot or something when I just need to like fill out a box. I'll be like, oh, I have some space in this box. I'll just list some dice or something. I get a lot of board game bits and pieces. All right, so that was $5.99. All right, next up is another Hololive Nendoroid figure. This is Hushu Marine right here. It's going to be like a little pirate figure right there. Same thing. These are from Japan. These are basically like better quality pop figures. There's going to be a bunch of different faces, hair, accessories that you get to like change up on the figure. This ended up selling for $39.99. So pretty cool, getting a good amount of money back from that one sale. We spent up on it. It was a buddy of mine, and they usually do sell me stuff from time to time. So I knew that they get good stuff and that we've had good luck with it, but I still had to pay up for it compared to some of the other stuff we get. All right, next up is another book. This is The Book of Three Lloyd Alexander fantasy novel. For a second, I thought I forgot to grab it. No mistakes so far. All right, yeah, it's going to be right here. I'll just keep it right here. This ended up selling for $7.99. Sometimes I just don't lot up books when I think they'll be cool and do well separately. This one I was correct, so $7.99 for that one. We get a bunch of books all the time for cheap. That's awesome. I also have some lots that sold over the weekend, so we'll see those soon. All right, next up is Pixel Tactics 2, an expansion for a board game. Right here, this is Level 99 Games. This is a standalone. So this particular company, Level 99, they've done a lot of anime different board games. Mostly they involve cards. People love anime. Oh, they have like the pixel style, like Super Nintendo. I always grab this stuff. I think it's kind of hipster. I don't know many people realize the value of these. A lot of these things go out of print and they'll have like big box games and expansions that are just like people want to complete their games. They are well done designed games. This ended up selling for $10. So not like a super crazy price in this, but I always look for Level 99 game stuff. That's just like a small little expansion. All right, next up is a smaller sale right here. Let's see if I can show you. This is just like a Matchbox tank. There's like a lot of wear on it right there. Nothing crazy. We get a bunch of like Matchbox Hot Wheels and stuff, like trays at auction and stuff. This sold for $4, so nothing too crazy. Usually I like to lot them up, but if I don't have a bunch of tanks, I don't want to put this with some cars. So like I want the lots to look nice, which I think helps them sell better. So $4 for that is fine. Usually we get like a couple hundred Matchbox and like Hot Wheels and different little bits and pieces for cars for like usually 10 or 20 bucks. So like getting 4 for 1 is perfectly fine. All right, this is really cool for me. Kind of a sad story though, I think. Well, not sad. Here, I'll just go into it. All right, Token Calendar 1998. Really cool calendar. There's a little information about him. We love Lord of the Rings. People love Lord of the Rings. It's fantastic. Oh, look at this. This is Gandalf and Frodo, I think, when he got stabbed by, I can't think of the Ringwraith sword or something. Maybe, I can't remember. There you go. I don't know what this picture is. All right. This sold for $17.99, but the sad thing about it was this actually sold a couple years ago to someone. I actually think it sold for like $25. I did not have it labeled in the bin. So I like apologized to the person. I felt really sad because like one, we got our asking price, so $25 for a calendar is pretty good. And then two, I was like, I know it's somewhere, but like I spent like a couple hours looking for it, just couldn't find it. I eventually, while getting another item just in the future, sometime like this year, I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. And I tried to like check our emails to see if I could message the person. I couldn't find them because I did tell them that I would message them, but eventually like I think messages and stuff just disappear on eBay, I think. So yeah, this went to someone else for $17.99. I just feel sad for the person who originally wanted it. Very cool calendar. All right, next up is a Marvel card. It's been a bit since we sold these, but we sold a ton when I got like a really good deal in binders for a couple dollars. This one right here is a Wolverine. This sold for $17.99. This is Marvel Metal Alternate M card. Really good condition, so that's awesome. All right, so let's move on. I want to make sure that that doesn't get crunched somewhere. All right, moving along. I don't even know where we got these at this point. These are two like plaque, like flower, well done ceramic or something plaques. You hang these up right there on like on your wall or something. So well designed flowers. Probably got these at like an estate sale or a thrift store or something. I'm sure Annette would probably grab these. These are called hibiscus. One's hibiscus and one's a daisy. There you go for the different flowers. $19.44 for this, which is great to just get like a good array of items selling. It's always cool to sell this kind of stuff. Just like a good mix. All right, next up is a combo order. We had someone buy 2 lots of HeroClix commons and uncommons, some with cards, some without. I've had really good luck with these. Usually people get combo orders because we do combine shipping. We'll refund any excess. This one I just labeled as H. I label them as different numbers. That's how I keep track of them at the storage unit. So H is just, yeah, a bag. One of these is like 25, and I think the other one is, I think this is 30. And then this one is 25, and then it happened to have a couple of cards, so I included them, but I said it, I think it's 3 cards. But yeah, people can memorize the powers. There's websites where you can look up what powers are in the dials. And then usually when you're pretty well into the game, you kind of memorize them. And then if you keep using like a figure over and over again, you have it mostly memorized. You might need to like reference the card once in a while, or you can just like look it up on the website. All right, so that was $20, I believe. I'll check later on because it was like bought at different times, so they didn't like originally combine it. So if I don't mention anything else about this further, that just means that they were each 10. I'm like 95% sure without seeing it on my phone. All right, next up is an eBay international order. This is really cool. Jan Ken Po, let me see, made in the USA, vintage game, actually kind of antique. Well, it depends on what you call antique. This is from 1934. Yeah, I would consider this unique. I would consider this antique. This sold for $30. That's super awesome. Little box card games. I always just like grab anything like this. I know people glance over this. They usually have worn cards or pieces, but I just think it's like a cool piece of history. I've been into board games basically my whole life, playing like board games with my family and stuff. And Annette and I play a bunch of board games now. So I just love this stuff. This was obviously, I was not around for this. So I just think it's cool to pick up this stuff, appreciate it, and sell it to someone that does. So $30 is really good for a small card game. Generally for like foreign and antique stuff, I do like to start usually at like 35, and then I can go up to pretty high depending on like how many are listed on eBay or not. That was probably sold in 35 with an offer to 30. All right, moving along, here's a board game. This one is History of the Roman Empire. People love Roman stuff, so this is a cool historical board game. Let me see if I can actually show you guys the pieces. Sorry if they're gonna fall out when oh yeah, I can. There you go. I love being able to show you guys the pieces. Here's a sealed deck of cards. Here's some dice and baggies for the pieces. Here's like it's kind of like a cardboard map. Pretty cool. Yeah, people love this stuff. I happened to write down the price that I bought this for, so it wasn't the best flip. $6 I bought this for, and we sold it for $19.19. These are little chits. Better than what I thought I would get for this. Originally, when I bought it for $6, I thought it would sell for more, but I'm still happy to make a profit and get that moving. I think that whole day I spent like $120 on a bunch of different board games, but I paid up for some of them. There's like a little bit more in here, but you get the idea of what's in here. Pretty cool. This is basically like new. I'm not even sure if I listed this as new. Sometimes I just put used and I put in like the description like, oh, this is like well done, unpunched. All right, so $19 and whatever change. My phone turned off. All right, let's move this over here. Sorry, I have to go a little bit. I guess I'm going at a good pace. There's a lot to go through. This sold internationally. These are some game books right here. This is going to be Sword and Flame. These, I think, were made in the UK. Let me see. Yeah. Made in the UK. Hardcover, Choose Your Own Adventure historical book. And then this one is Redcoats and Minutemen. This person bought this as a combo order for $38.38, and it's going back to the UK through eBay International Shipping. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I knew some of the adventure books would be good. I didn't know that they would be that good or that rare. All right, HeroClix sale. This was $10, so it's $20 for the pair. All right, moving along, we have another adventure book, Laser Tag Invisible Rival right here. This one's pretty cool. I think there's actually a board game that we had that was kind of, I don't know if it was based off of the books or if this is like a movie IP or something like that. I've seen this particular design, unless they were just trying to make their book look like that particular, like, I don't know, sci-fi font and stuff like that. They originally wanted the board game as well as a combo order, but then they kind of like sent a low offer, and then they had instructions on how they wanted us to ship it. And I was just like, they wanted it media mail, and it's like, well, no, one's a book, one's a board game. You'll still get a good combined shipping, but I'm not sending a board game with a book as media mail. It's not going to happen. So they ended up saying never mind, which I knew it was going to go that way, but I still like gave it the time of the day. It was just a couple messages. $14.39. They technically are a repeat buyer, so they bought stuff from us before. So sad we couldn't like hash out a deal with the board game. We generally don't like to give people the control of the shipping when they send us messages. Like, we know what we're doing with shipping. We refund excess. We pack it well. We usually have no issues with that. So when people start having like demands about that, we don't cave into that. Because usually when you cave in, or at least when we cave in, lots of problems happen. All right, next up is Master Creations Outhouse Ladies and Gentlemen Little Outhouses. So these are going to be cool little wooden miniature things. You can use these for like a village, a Christmas village. You can use these for miniatures, like military miniatures. But I think this is going to be used for a train village. So the interesting thing about this is someone messaged us saying that this was like too expensive, and then like a couple hours it sold for my asking price. It feels good when someone messages you and says something's like underpriced or overpriced, and then it sells for the price you're asking for. I have another one of these, so I relisted it. This sold for $12.23. I think stuff like that is cool. All right, really cool Choose Your Own Adventure book right here. This is Stampede. It's like a library copy. It has a lot of like damage and wear, but overall, the actual pages inside of it are very readable, very playable, I guess, or yeah, like going through readable, right? This ended up selling for $65. Originally, when I was looking up like this one and another one we had, I was like, hey, Annetta, I think my like search engine's off. Maybe I'm just being stupid. Can you look these up? And she also saw them at their higher price. I also think that these actually from the UK, maybe, I'm not sure. I think these were just rare. I think this is the classic Choose Your Own Adventure series. Let me see if I actually might have one. Yeah, I do have one. This is one Annetta wants to keep. Secret of Dolphins right there. So I think it's this brand, but apparently they went to like a bigger book. Don't quote me on that, but that was just my like brief research. $65 for that. So super good. I have a lot of the adventure books to still go through. All right, next up, moving along, is going to be a Warhammer sheet right there. This one is just going to have stats and stuff. I get all this like random, I guess, like jank or whatever, usually sells for me. This is $5, but this is cool that someone's going to use this. This I can see someone like throwing away if they have a bunch of these. These are just, yeah, they're just little reminders for people. I actually use a lot of reminders these days for like different board games and stuff I play. I'll just have like the little reminder card. This is for tabletop game. I like to have them now. In the past, I just had a lot of brain space to just memorize as much as I can. Then I realized I didn't have to, so I just have sheets like this. So other people enjoy this too and agree with me that they just don't want to memorize the stuff if you play a bunch of games. $5 for that, nothing crazy, but technically it was like randomly in my like junk pile. I have my own junk piles, but I do like occasionally just grab something and list it quickly and then move on. All right, next up is a really cool order. Annetta, can you double check the mic real quick? I want to make sure everything's still good. All right, next up is a really cool order. This is going to be 9 Realms of Fantasy magazines. Check out how cool these are. We got a bunch of these. I guess I can just keep it right here. We got a bunch of these a long time ago. These 2 sold for $52 plus shipping. There's 4 in here, and then there's 5 in here. They're from 2000 and 2002. I just think these are really cool. I'm glad someone's appreciating them. I had a couple of instances this past week where I was looking at a bin and I'm like, I haven't sold like anything in that bin in a while, and then something sells in it. I have a lot of bins though, so it's highly possible that like some of my bins only have like 20 or 30 items that like it takes a while for something to sell in an individual bin. All right, next up is a little dinosaur book. Someone asked me for a particular picture from this book. Usually when people are asking me for pictures of books and stuff, especially these like military books, they kind of just want like a quick like, oh, they want to read the rules or they want the stats and they don't really want to buy the item. I went ahead and sent them the picture of it. It was a particular dinosaur that they wanted to know that was in this booklet. Nothing ever happened to this particular sale from like a couple months ago. I remember this question. This ended up finally selling for $7.99. I didn't double check to see if this matched the message of the person because it's just too much time to check. I'm hoping that it did, and they were just waiting for us to put it on the sale. So I hope it goes to the person that was like really wanting to see the picture of the particular dinosaur. I don't remember which one. I'm sorry. Like I said, it was a bit ago, but it's cool to see that sell. All right, moving along, we have a Shoot the Moon card game right here. This is by Fundex Games. I always grab these cool little family card games. Not everyone who plays board games are playing like the modern ones, the Kickstarter ones. There are a ton of families and people who aren't super into board games, but they are into like these, super into these card games, quick playing games, family games that I call them. Yeah, so $15 for that. I always get the ones that look fun and cool. We used to play a bunch of these different like family games with my family, with like my parents and stuff like that. I have good memories of it. So I know that people do enjoy this kind of stuff. Not everyone's going to be like getting like a $200 Kickstarter playing like a Gloomhaven or something. We love that stuff, but I know that's not for everyone and it's expensive. That's pretty cheap. All right, moving along, we have a lot of 18 Topps 1979 the Black Hole trading card stickers for Star Wars. So these are just going to be little stickers for this particular set. Excuse me real quick. All right, this sold for $10. I have a bunch of like random dead card game stuff all over, like in my junk pile, and I do eventually get to it. I like to have bigger lots than this. I recently sourced a bunch of dead card game stuff, so I've been listing it. I got Rage. I got Deadlands / Doomtown, because it used to be Doomtown, I believe, and then it was Deadlands. I got some World of Warcraft TCG cards, bunch of other stuff. I've been going through, I've been listing a bunch of bulk lots, so if you happen to like that stuff, take a look at our shop down below. $10 for that. All right, moving along, we have Savage Worlds Explorers Edition book right here. We've sold a bunch of these for like anywhere from $6 to $12. Let me see what this is. It's a role-playing game book. Sorry, I had to just double check. I always thought it was maybe for a miniature game. Yeah, there you go, like some kind of role-playing book. This might be like a base thing or like a GM or player's handbook or something like that. This sold for only $5, so I guess I lied about the $6. This one sold for $5.04. This was the last one. You can kind of tell that like this is too big for this particular one because I had like 6 or 7 in this particular bag just to keep it from getting dusty or liquid damage. So yeah, $5. This I think is our last one, but I'm not 100% sure. I probably have some more somewhere to list. All right, next up, not a crazy sale. Yeah, I guess trigger warning for people who are afraid of spiders. So yeah, 3, 2, 1. I don't know if anyone will actually be afraid. This is a D&D spider figure right here. This is a giant spider. Pretty cool figure someone's going to use for D&D. Yeah, this sold for $5. Repeat buyer. I think we were going back and forth on offers for this one, but yeah, $5 is pretty good for one figure. Really easy to ship, so I'm glad someone's going to spook someone with spiders in some like D&D session. All right, next up, like I said, we sold a book lot right here, so there's going to be 5 different books. I'm not going to go through all of them. These are just like a fantasy lot, like a vintage. I just put vintage fantasy novels, and then I'll put some of the titles of the books in the title of my listing. Then I'll actually write out all of the books' names in the description. It takes a little bit of time. I'm kind of relaxed on listing this stuff. $15.99 for that. It's not like the best use of time, but because we get these so cheap, it's really nice to just ship these out as like a nice little lot. I like to make it look like a cool little theme. Sometimes these books do have like, oh, this is part 2 of this series, part 1 of this series. So sometimes people are just getting an individual one. Sometimes people message me for an individual book and I go, how about you just send me an offer and maybe you'll get more than what you need and you can do whatever you want with the rest of them. And usually it works out. That's not what happened with this case. I was just describing what happens once in a while. $15.99 for that. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Actually, yeah, last item. We got there. All right, this is a lot of 88 Return to Dark Tower cardboard pieces. Return to Dark Tower is this big board game. You put like electronic like castle or something. I think you drop down like marbles and then it's like a ring where you're playing as like characters and it's co-op. You're fighting monsters and the tower does stuff. I think it talks to you. I think there's an app. I think it's been redone by Restoration Games. So there's like a vintage version, and then there's like the Kickstarter version by Restoration Games. These are just like pieces for I believe this is the Kickstarter version, so the newer one. Yeah, I feel like the older pieces would go for more and look better. But still, $10.07 for this. I didn't know what this was until I just looked up some of the pieces names and found that this is Return to Dark Tower. So yeah, cool. 88 pieces. I don't know if this is all of them, but I put 88 pieces. I laid them all out, took nice pictures. All right, so that is everything. I'm basically out of breath. Yeah, let me know down below in the comments if you guys have had a good weekend of sales. Let me know if anything cool is going on. We just have a bunch of stuff to list to basically eBay. It's Monday. We're back at the grind. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to help support us, take a look at the shop down below.